This is the brief on who Brian Madjo is. So how exactly did a 17-year-old Aston Villa Wonderkid become the absolute talk of European football overnight? First, we've got to talk about his explosive introduction. At just 17 years and 212 days old, Madjo scored on his competitive debut against Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Super Cup. By doing that, he shattered Patrick Kluivert's 30-year-old record, becoming the youngest goalscorer in the competition's history. Can you imagine absolutely bodying some of the world's best defenders while you're still not old enough to buy a pint? Second, there's this crazy behind-the-scenes FIFA legal drama. If you're wondering why it took so long to actually see him play, well, Villa bought him from French club FC Metz for £10 million back in January on his 17th birthday. But FIFA blocked the move over strict rules on international transfers for minors. So Villa took the fight to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and actually won just days before his debut. It was a massive 8-month legal tug-of-war, but Villa knew he was worth the fight. Finally, looking at his profile shows exactly what Villa was fighting for. He's got a truly global background, born in London, raised in Luxembourg with Cameroonian parents. He previously played for Luxembourg, but now he's representing England's under-17s. And physically, he draws direct comparisons to Romelu Lukaku for his raw power. Standing 6'4", to put that into perspective, he's 100 kilos of pure muscle. He is literally a giant among men out there. Ultimately, Brian Madjo is a record-smashing, 17-year-old powerhouse who just proved to the world that he was worth every second of Aston Villa's legal battle.
Imagine buying an elite, high-performance sports car. You've got the keys, the engine purrs, but the DMV absolutely refuses to issue your license plate.
Oh, that is the absolute worst feeling.
Right. For 8 agonizing months, this incredible machine just sits in your garage. I mean, you know it's built for speed, but you literally aren't allowed to prove it on the road. Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at the explosive, heavily delayed arrival of Aston Villa's 17-year-old striker, Brian Madjo.
Yeah, and we've pulled together sports news, player profiles, and, tactical analyses to really understand this kid's bizarre bureaucratic struggle. Plus, his sheer physical dominance and the immense trust Unai Emery has placed in him.
And, of course, why he's already drawing comparisons to football's most legendary strikers. So let's get right into the roadblock. It really started the minute Villa signed him from FC Metz for £10 million back in January 2026.
Yeah, $10 million for a teenager is massive. But FIFA immediately stepped in and just blocked the transfer entirely because of his age. Like, Madjo grew up playing in Luxembourg, and FIFA enforces these really strict rules against the international transfer of minors.
Which, to be fair, is to prevent the exploitation of young players globally.
Absolutely. But in this case, it meant they effectively banned him from playing a competitive match until he turned 18.
But Aston Villa wasn't going to just accept that. They actually took the case to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which is essentially the Supreme Court for global sports disputes. And this is where a really brilliant legal loophole came into play.
Oh, right, the passport thing.
Exactly. Madjo was actually born in Enfield, London. He holds a British passport.
Right, so by leveraging his British citizenship, Villa's lawyers argued that his birthright should just supersede his Luxembourg sporting nationality. I mean, it still took 8 months of legal gridlock.
8 months of just waiting around.
Yeah, sit in the garage, like you said earlier. But in August, CAS finally cleared him. He was officially eligible to play in the country of his birth.
And here's the craziest part. The second he was cleared, manager Unai Emery didn't ease him in. You'd think he'd start with like a League Cup game against a lower division side, right?
No, absolutely not. He threw Madjo straight into the starting lineup for the UEFA Super Cup against Paris Saint-Germain.
I have to push back here, though. Throwing a kid with 0 senior minutes into a European final against one of the richest clubs on earth, I mean, that borders on managerial malpractice, doesn't it? If he has a terrible game, you risk completely destroying a teenager's confidence before his career even really starts.
See, it looks like a massive risk, but it was actually this brilliant tactical ambush. PSG had absolutely no scouting tape on Madjo playing in Emery's system.
Oh, wow. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're elite center backs prepared to defend against Ollie Watkins or John Duran, and then suddenly they're facing a complete unknown. Emery knew Madjo had the physical maturity to handle the shock.
Which explains why he personally pushed for the signing and strictly refused to loan him out. He saw Madjo as a first-team disruptor from day one.
Exactly. And the ambush definitely worked. I mean, Madjo didn't just survive the match, he actually scored.
Breaking Patrick Kluivert's 30-year record in the process, He became the youngest scorer in the history of the Super Cup at just 17 years and 212 days old.
It's unbelievable, and he managed to do that against a defense like PSG's purely because of his physical profile. I mean, Madjo is 6'4" and 100 kilograms.
That is just an enormous frame for a teenager.
It really is, and he completely knows how to use it.
Yeah, his teammate Tyrone Mings actually called him a big old boy and a total nightmare to defend against in training. And we saw that firsthand when he literally bulldozed PSG's William Pacho.
Right, but it's not just running into people blindly. It's really about how he uses that mass for his hold-up play. He uses that 100-kilogram frame to physically shield the ball from veteran defenders,
Pinning them back while his teammates make forward runs.
Exactly. When you combine that specific ability to anchor the attack with his really sharp right-footed finishing, you start to see why the media is going wild over him.
Which sparks those inevitable Didier Drogba and Romelu Lukaku comparisons. It's that rare blend of being an immovable target man who also possesses the technical finesse to finish inside the box.
And seeing those echoes of Drogba in a player who isn't even 18 yet, I mean, that is what makes this whole story so compelling. He spent 8 months waiting in the wings while lawyers fought over his passport.
Yeah, so frustrating.
And then when his moment finally came on a massive European stage, he capitalized instantly.
It takes a really unique kind of mental resilience to stay sharp through that kind of bureaucratic limbo. But now that the legal battle is over and he's shattered a legendary European record, we are left with a massive question for you to ponder.
It's the big one.
Will the immense weight of being compared to icons like Drogba act as fuel for his upcoming Premier League debut? Or will those expectations prove to be an impossibly heavy burden for a 17-year-old to carry? Something to keep in mind the next time he steps onto the pitch.
If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please consider subscribing to Decision 45. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep creating high-quality content just like this. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss an update.